Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 Nerds by Nerds, hanging out with.
I'm Ted.
And today we want to talk about another player tip. The same type of characters in the same party. Can it work?
Jump down to the description below, sign up for Nerdarchy's a newsletter. It's a great way to get gaming tips and learn how to game with us.
So, we had someone write in with a question, and the problem was that they had two players that basically were charisma-based characters, and the original character that made the first charisma-based character is concerned that having two characters based off the same stat is going to knock the wind out of their sails. And so this DM wanted to know, hey, how would you handle that?
Well, I think that at its core, this is happening in your game. Ryan's character and my character, mechanically, we're very different, but goal-wise, we're very similar. Like we're both intellectual, researching, knowledge-based characters. Now, my character is actually mechanically better at finding out the information, but his character excels in combat. So like when we get into a conversation with an NPC of a decent intelligence, both of us want to be able to talk to him. But I don't think in any way, shape, or form does it detract from the game, or are either of us stealing, thunder or the spotlight.
Yeah, and not only that, you both have like your own approaches, and this is where this is going to differ is like hopefully like characters and players at the table are creating unique characters, so it shouldn't be an issue. Like if you're role playing a character with different motivations, different objectives, it doesn't matter that you guys have the same methodology.
Well, in this example, there's a bard and a warlock that are going to be in a party of 4. Well, you've got two charisma-based characters. So that means they're going to be personable, they're going to be likable, but they're coming from two separate levels of interaction. The one is used to being in front of the crowd, whereas the other might not necessarily normally be in that situation. So what is? I'd like to know what spotlight is going to be stolen.
I don't think it matters. Like if you have two characters that have the same strength, and this is what we're really talking about. If you have two characters that have the same strength, is it a problem in the party? It's not a problem because one, you're going to have these different factors that define your character: your race, your background, your class, possibly even your alignments, right? And those are just mechanical things,
right? Part
of the game.
Well, how's it being role played? What are your goals? What are your bonds? What are your flaws? Like, so far we've got seven questions that I'm fairly certain
there's going to be
that there's going to be differences, and probably more differences than likenesses.
And then on top of that, the most important thing I think is motivation. Like, what motivates a particular character? If they have two different motivations, that's going to vastly differentiate things, and also like how they actually go about doing things. Even if you have two characters that have a similar build, for instance, all right, let's take it. We'll go completely different. If you have a fighter and a barbarian that are both strength-based characters, they're going to approach combat differently.
Indeed.
More than likely, the fighter probably is going to try and avoid getting hit, and he's going to use things like armor to see that it happens, right?
Right.
And he might even go even further and use a shield and take the protective combat style.
Right.
Although he wants to use brute force, he doesn't want it used against him.
Right.
Pretty much the barbarian's combat style essentially is to jump in the middle of the fighting while you rage and smack the shit out of things and mostly ignore the things hitting you. So they're totally two different approaches to the same problem.
Right.
There's no reason why that won't apply to any other area of the game, social interaction, exploration as well. Like, you might have a social character that is very personable, but his approach or her approach is to manipulate the individual and try and get people to do what they want. And even to the extent where it's a game to them. Heck, in real life, we've all probably met those people,
Right.
especially in maybe our love lives, where there are individuals, both male and female, that just like to play games for whatever reason. It just happens. Where you might have another individual who is very honest and, he seeks to build meaningful he or she seeks to build meaningful relationships with those that they interact with socially, which is completely a different approach.
Right.
One is seeing people as objects almost on a chessboard to be manipulated, where the other is, you honestly just seek to connect with everyone you meet.
Look at all these potential friends.
Exactly, and that's your way of social interaction and getting ahead socially.
Right.
So there are two different approaches to the same scenario.
Right. So, like I said, I don't think this is a problem. If this was a game where stat bonuses were handed out as awards and there's only one charisma block, then I could understand that it would be a problem. But this is not that type of game. This is a game where, like, stat bonuses as items aren't a thing. Like they're so rare, few and far between, that it's not going to be an issue. And if you're playing a role-playing character, well, we're playing a role-playing game, so other people are going to want to role-play too. Are you saying that you should be the better because of this? No.
Well, yeah, and that actually doesn't even have anything to do with stats. That's just, that's just what you bring to the table as a person, and your ability to, get into the role and act a part and be immersive. Like that has nothing to do with the stats.
Right.
In your game, I suffer from this is because I think I dumped charisma and I roleplay a higher charisma than I have, and I have to keep telling myself this and reminding myself this. And I do it a little bit by being extra dwarfy sometimes.
Right.
But at the same time, I have to remember to rein it in. Where
that's why charisma is one of those things that it can be challenging to deal with. And we shared the story before about my half work who was the leader with like a 9 charisma. It was horrible. I should have done so many things that I didn't. And it makes it challenging in this situation. But role playing is role playing. There should be no reason why you can't have two characters that have the same high stat and not be able to still have a good time. There's no spotlight stealing. Just sit back and enjoy the game. Assure her that
two or more types of the same character will never be the same character.
Right.
There's just too many different factors. Like, how many times have I seen people wanting to play or playing like the all dwarf party or or the all elf party, or let's do a party of rogues. You can do it and work, and you can all still be very different.
Oh, absolutely.
There's different roles, different functions, within those classes, within those race. The chances of two characters portraying their character the same way is going to be completely
and we already
different.
know that they're different classes. A bard and a warlock, at its core, they are very different things. Unless it's like, oh well, I made a pact with the angel of entertaining. Okay, well, that's an odd situation. Why not just be a bard?
You'll have to write that one up, Ted. But that's exactly my point. Like, just because you have a high charisma, too, doesn't necessarily mean you're the social character.
Right.
Like, sure, you would excel at it, but, charisma is also a measure of personal power in 5th edition. Mm-hmm. Of your presence, of your aura. Like, that doesn't mean you go out of your... Like, dragons have really high charismas, but most of them don't show up at parties trying to be the life of the party. That's a conscious choice by the player for the character.
In that party setting, I would see the bard, mixing it up, entertaining, moving from crowd to crowd, whereas the warlock would probably be in the background sipping his wine.
Depending on that play. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's my interpretation. That's how I would see that party setting happening. Whereas I don't think the bard's stealing anything because the warlock's not choosing to be there. Maybe.
Well, yeah, it could be, just depending on how they do it.
Right.
But exactly, like, there's definitely different ways to do it. Just because, being a high charisma character doesn't automatically make you the face character. Being the bard might, though. but then again, like, you might not be able, like, your character may not be able to be serious enough to actually be an effective face.
It depends, again, how you want to portray it.
Like, in Unearthed Arcana, they introduced the Jester. Do you really want that character as the face of the party?
No.
Probably not.
So what do you guys think? How do you handle this situation in your games? Has this come up? Do you have any cool stories you want to share? Put it down in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, even subscribe.
You can tweet at us over on Twitter.
So until next time, stay nerdy.